Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Decades ago, I worked in a group home for children, 8 and 9 years old, who had been sexually abused. In the staff lounge, etched into the wood, there was a quote that read, "Mother, the word for God on the lips and in the hearts of little children." I remember staring at it and thinking how painfully out of place it was in this place that was filled with children who had been removed from their homes precisely because the people meant to protect them and love them had failed to do so. That facility was kind of a waiting room for childhood, a place in between. It was truly a purgatory. Some children would go off to relatives for temporary placements or forever. Some would return home if the person who harmed them was removed, and others would enter the foster care system, hoping for adoption. On Friday nights, we would prepare these young people for these possible visits and these placements. I would sit with them as they asked questions no child should ever have to ask. Where am I going? Will they keep me? Will I come back? Will they hurt me there? We tried through whatever tools possible to help them tell their stories. One of those tools became photography. A photographer for Ralph Lauren volunteered her time and taught these children how to take pictures, how to develop film, how to capture something of their world. And we asked them to take pictures and tell us what it meant. One weekend, a young boy named Edwin left for a visit. He was off to see a foster parent for a potential placement and his birth mother, likely for the last time. He took his camera with him. When he came back, he came straight to me and asked me to develop his film. I looked at the roll and saw he had only taken 2 pictures of the possible 24. But he was insistent that we develop the film. So after settling the other children in, I stayed past my shift and went into the dark room to develop the film of Edwin. Then Edwin went back to his bunk with construction paper and began working. The next morning when I arrived for work, he handed me his project. At the top, in Spanish, he wrote, "Mis dos madres," my 2 mothers. On the left, under one picture, he wrote, "This mother loves me, but cannot house me." And on the right, under the second woman, he wrote, "This mother will house me, but will not love me." I was too young then to fully understand what Edwin was telling me. But I understand this work. At 8 years old, Edwin named the deepest truth of this work, the need not just for shelter, but for love. Decades later, I find myself standing in a very different room, but facing the exact same truth. At the Alifornia Center every year, we host a holiday carnival for our young people. Our youth win tickets to games at booths run by volunteers. Volunteers like John Staff, Craig Smith, Joanna Delara, Frank Godshaw, and so many. The tickets they win become currency in a holiday store we create for them where they can shop for gifts. One year, I was able to secure 1,000 of items, and we created an off-site store. Our young people walked in, and it became something extraordinary. They did not just shop. They experienced the joy of being a young person. They browsed, they compared, they laughed. It was a full-on shopping spree with friends. I remember accompanying a young man named Noah. He started out by picking clothes for himself, carefully and thoughtfully. Then we arrived at a makeup table. He paused and said to me, "My mom loves makeup." I'll be honest, I often freeze when our youth speak about their parents. So many of our young people hold a deep and complicated loyalty to the very people who rejected them. They protect them. They tell stories, sometimes real, sometimes aspirational, about the parents they wish they had. So I did not push. I just stood with him as he picked up makeup for his mother. As our time went on, Noah began to tell me more. He told me his mother loved him. that her boyfriend, someone he sometimes referred to as his stepfather, did not like gay people. So she saw him when the boyfriend was not around. I remember standing there wondering if Noah understood what that meant, if he saw the rejection wrapped in the veiled semblance of love. And he kept shopping. He picked out gifts for his mother, or his younger sister, fully knowing that they would be celebrating Christmas as a family without him because of his identity. He held on to that connection no matter how frail it was. As he left, I wonder how he would even give them these gifts, if they would welcome him, or if they would have something for him. These events give us a tiny glimpse into our young people's journeys. We bring in volunteers from all walks of life, people who show up steady and affirming presence. And that matters because statistically, one affirming adult in an LGBTQ young person's life can reduce suicidal ideation by 40%. One person who sees them, embraces them, as they are, can save a life. So we create these spaces where those connections can happen. Holiday carnivals, a talent show, Halloween ball, a prom, or even a casual dinner night where we serve breakfast for dinner. Liev and Taylor, our honorees this evening, were actually joined us this past Monday to cook a meal, where we even took a break to have a cake decorating contest. Liev is still very upset that my cake won, and he made this face when he found out. In just a few weeks, we will have our annual client prom. Our team spends months preparing for securing dresses, suits, and other accoutrements needed to make the night feel special. Rockefeller Center hosts us, partners support the experience, and the setting is picturesque. But the real beauty is in the connections. This past prom, our friend Paolo Martini volunteered to run a beverage stand. At first, he was focused on doing everything right. But as the night unfolded, young people began to linger, conversations grew, the line got longer, not for drinks, but for connections. Paolo shared with me how that moment stayed with him, how young people opened up, asked about his life, and simply wanted to be seen. As a bystander, I was heartened to see our clients connect with Paolo, this beautiful human who cares deeply about our mission and clients. If those youth could carry the love Paolo has in his heart for them, I know they would see how truly worthy of love they are. Moments like these are powerful because you can feel something shift. In many ways, we're watching our hearts begin to heal for clients and even for the volunteers. As for Noah, weeks later on Christmas Eve, I was dressed as Santa Claus delivering gifts to our housing sites. I saw Noah and he told me he was going to see his mother on Christmas Day. I hoped that was true. I felt two things at once. I felt happy for him, and I felt the weight of something else. Noah should have been home that night, fully embraced and loved for who he is. And in that moment, you understand something that should shake all of us. Rejection does not erase the need to be loved. It deepens the longing for it. That is what Edwin was telling me all those years ago. That is what our young people are telling us today. This work is not just about shelter. It's about answering that longing. It's about building something better than what failed them. And right now, we're being asked to do more than ever before. Tonight, over 400 young people are on our waiting list for a bed. 400. That is not an abstract. That is 400 young souls who have known the heartache and heartbreak of family rejection. 400 young people standing at their own moment of decision, wondering if anyone will show up for them. And I need you to understand this did not happen slowly. Just 1 year ago, that number was just around 300. And before the homophobic and transphobic political climate in our country, that number was under 200. There is a direct correlation between the attacks on our community in this country and the number of young people showing up at our doors. There has been a growing crisis in our country. It's being led by hate groups veiled in religion, conservatism, and family values. In the words of my dear friend Mitchell Goad, we need to educate people about the harms they are causing on LGBTQ youth. We need to plant seeds that lead to helping change hearts and minds. When rhetoric turns into rejection and policy turns into fear, when families are told their children are something to be ashamed of, those children end up with us, if they are lucky. At this exact moment, the crisis is reaching its highest point and resources are being cut. We know what it takes to meet this need. What we need is you. So tonight I'm asking you, help us build a place where young people don't have to choose between love and shelter. Help us reach those 400 young people still on that waiting list. And help us become for them what should have been there all along. Thank you. There's one more thing that's weighing on me, and I struggled with whether or not I would talk about it, but there's enough people in this room that can make a difference. If you're a New York City employee or a New York State employee, if you're a New York City elected official or New York State elected official, I need you to listen. 2 nights ago, the Department of Youth and Community Development made a surprise visit on our drop-in center. This is not a shelter, but rather the entry point for our clients and a temporary sleeping arrangement that we agreed upon with the city. From 2015 to 2023, we were allowed to have these young people sleep in this program. It's a band-aid to the fact that there are over 5,000 kids on our streets and less than 1,000 beds. In January of 2023, on the coldest day of the year, the Department of Youth and Community Development came in and demanded that we shut down this program and suspend overnight sleeping. Every provider in the city followed suit. We did not. The city is asking us to wake up these young people every 15 minutes, to not allow them to sleep overnight, to engage them in programming when they should be asleep. This is inhumane. The city should be thanking us and not attacking us for doing what's humane and what is just for these young people. They should be ashamed. We will not wake up these young people. Our elected officials in the room tonight, our city and state employees, you need to have our back on this. We are not turning back from this. Thank you.